as Midoriya is standing, looking at this towering, massive monster, this mechanical beast, the strongest imperial arm and the first to ever exist, as he's standing alongside Bulat, and he's just wondering, how is he supposed to beat this thing? While simultaneously as he's thinking that, in his mind, all of the other One For All users are talking to him, also questioning what the hell is that. They weren't ready for something like this. But as Midoriya is watching and Bulat is wondering what they should do, suddenly the giant robot shoots a laser out of his head and into the distance, and it's almost like a nuclear explosion. And Midoriya is seeing it. He just killed thousands just like that. Thousands of innocent died in an instant just because a child is throwing a damn temper tantrum. As immediately Midoriya is seeing this, he flies to try and stop it. He goes ahead with a punch, a very strong punch. He goes up into 50% as he goes and he throws it. Nothing. Not even a damn scratch. As he yells at the top of his tongue saying, "Come on, please stop, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You're killing your own people!" As the Emperor speaking from inside the mech, his voice is echoing and massive as he speaks up saying, "You brought this upon yourself, Nitrate. If it wasn't for you, this kingdom is falling apart because of you." As immediately he proceeds to shoot another laser, and Midoriya is seeing it. Again, he blasts another part of the place as with the simultaneously he just slams Midoriya aside like a bug, like a worthless nothing. While on the other side, as Midoriya is facing against this massive robot. On the other side, with Leone that is right now dealing with some of the people trying to save some innocents, as a giant piece of wall is about to fall down and kill a few innocent people. Suddenly, some feathers fly and catching them, pushing them out of the way, and it's Run. As she sees him, she said, "What? Aren't you gonna fight me now, Birdhead?" As he said, "Unfortunately, at the moment, it seems that we have a much more bigger problem. So, how about we keep this battle of us on hold for now?" And she said, "Works for me." As immediately, she just proceeded to go ahead and help with the evacuation of all the people. On the other side, some of the soldiers are fighting against Akame and Bulat, while she's trying to deal with them, killing them, but those guys are very, very heavily armored. Damn it, how are they supposed to win this? But as she's surrounded by all of these heavily armed people, suddenly, from the side, fire erupts and she sees somebody that she doesn't recognize until she noticed the scar on his chest and the fact that he's carrying a flamethrower. That's Bulls without his mask. As immediately Bull said, "I'm sorry, but this have gone for far too long. It is time that somebody stops all of this." As immediately she realizes it, Bulls that Midoriya didn't kill have came to help, as she's seeing him basically toasting up those soldiers. Their armor is heavy, yes, but inside of it, it just becomes a massive little cooking pod, and they just are suffering inside. Eventually, they had to take it off, and Akame dealt the final blow then. As she looks at Bulat and he just looks back at her, and they look back at Bulls, and Bulls just tell them that he's here to help. He's sorry, he's not with the Empire anymore. After what he saw and what is going on, no way he's gonna allow this to continue. But he didn't come alone after all, as on the other side, Akame just watches as something flies up in the air, and she notices it. That's Wave, flying to save Midoriya that is about to be hit again by one of the Emperor's giant's fists, slamming him into the ground as Midoriya covered himself in black whip. He's bleeding a little, and he's just coughing, saying, "Can't you see that you're hurting your own people? Everyone is dying because of you. Just look for a minute and understand what you're trying to do is wrong." As, well, the Emperor just looks down trying to figure out what's going on, but the words of the minister in his head are echoing. He keeps telling him that those are all traitors and he must eliminate traitors for the sake of the Empire, and so, just like little child he is, he listens and goes to crush Midoriya, but then Wave jumps in and grabs Midoriya before he is crushed under his hand again. Then Midoriya sees Wave and he said, "Oh, Wave, what are you?" As he said, "No way I will just stand aside and watch as the Empire is getting destroyed. I'm not on the side of Nitrate, but I am a soldier, and a soldier's duty is to protect the innocent. And right now, the Emperor is going crazy. We must stop him." As Midoriya said, "I just don't know how." As he heard a voice in his head. It's Nana Shimura. She speaks up saying, "Maybe it's time to finally use my quirk. You'll need all of us help for this." As Midoriya said, "Yes, I do." As the third user speaks up saying, "You know how to use Fajin right now, right?" And Midoriya said, "Not entirely, but I got the basics down." And while Wave is just wondering what is Midoriya's muttering about. And then Midoriya proceeded to start crouching down, going down and up and down repeatedly. And Wave wondering what is he doing, as Midoriya said, "Just buy me some time. I need to build up some momentum." As well, Wave proceeded to do so, trying to attack the Emperor with all of his power. Anything, trying to do anything, put a scratch on it. But to no avail, as then the Emperor proceeding to prepare another laser attack through his giant fist as he powers the cannon, and the light is glowing red, brighter and brighter, as then, before he shoots, Midoriya in an instant appear right in front of the face of the Emperor and his giant mech, as he flies up in the air while simultaneously shooting back Black Whip, grabbing it and surrounding the arm with it, as he pulls and using the momentum of his speed and his trajectory causes the arm of the robot to tilt upward, and then as the laser shoots out, it doesn't hit the city or the Empire down below, but it hits a mountain in the far, far distance. Such a big explosion and destructive power. With it, Midoriya have managed to save so many people, as he just keeps yelling at the Emperor from up in the sky saying, "Can't you see that you're hurting your people? You're scared, I get it, but you need to stop this. The Minister Honest is lying to you. He's corrupting you." As the Emperor just telling him, screaming at him, saying to shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, as he grabs Midoriya and slams him to the ground using his giant fist. As Midoriya is on the ground, he's tired, as immediately even Bulat came in to help with Wave. Both of them are distracting the Emperor, while Midoriya is just wondering, what should he do? Everything seems hazy. Everything is so weird. As for a second, he seems to be going asleep. Maybe it's death. Whatever it is, it's weird. He finds himself in a classroom, and he looks around. He hears a teacher. He tells him that it's time for all of you to choose, your future. But he proceeded to throw the papers up because he knows that they all want to be heroes after all. Katsuki Baku jumps on the desk and declares that he's gonna be the #1 hero, before the teacher reveals that Izuku Midoriya wants to be a hero as well. As Midoriya looks back to see him on his desk, head down, looking at his notebooks, scrawny, little weak child, scared of his own shadow as Baku throws an explosion at him. After the class is over, Midoriya is getting all of his things together and proceeded to go ahead. He leaves the classroom after Baku throws his notebook out of the window. He goes grabbing it. He's crying and he just watches himself walk. He turns into a tunnel. He gets captured by a sludge villain, and then All Might comes to save him. And eventually he grabs into All Might's leg before he is on top of a building, standing in front of All Might. As Midoriya just watching, as the old him speaks up to All Might. Can a quirkless kid like me become a hero like you? As Midoriya is waiting for All Might's answer. But then he hears it. He hears himself continue saying, Did you do it? As Midoriya turns his gaze from All Might back to himself. As his eyes widen, can he see him? as he proceeds to speak up. Did you do it? Did you become a hero? Did did I become a hero? As Midoriya looks down, while our Midoriya is looking down at his hand. He looks at himself. He looks at the ground. He clenches his fist and grinds his teeth, and it just fills him with anger. He barely is holding into his tears. As he looks into himself, he gets closer, and then he speaks up. It doesn't matter if we are a hero or not. What it matters is that there are people that need to be saved. And right now is just a hero is not what this world need. What they need is someone that takes the hardest decisions. I know that this is hard on you. This is hard on both of us. We never asked for this, did we? Or maybe we asked for it, but we got too much. Way too much than we asked for. Regardless of what it is, it doesn't matter because now we're here. And we have to do this. Because if we don't, then more people will die, right? As his younger self looks down as he said, Do you ever regret it? The killing, the murdering? Do you ever wish that you weren't here and that you could just leave? As Midoriya looks down and said, I regret it. Every single day. I hate what I have to do. But I have to just push it aside because that's what assassins do. We have to turn things on and off. It's because if we don't, then we won't be able to focus on the mission. Think of it as trying to look at things from the bright point of view. We are doing the wrong things for the right reasons, aren't we? And hey, even if we are killing a lot of people, we're saving more than we kill. As long as we take only what we need and give back what we can, everything should work out in the end, right? I promise. After all, we're still here, aren't we? As Midoriya looks to himself, as his younger self smiles, saying, Right, we're still here, we're still fighting. As in that moment, his younger self seems to disappear, and Midoriya is saying to himself as he watches himself gone, and it's for a second there, it feels as if he has lost something, like a part of him just disappeared, as he wonders if he really is still here. But then Midoriya just shakes off the feeling. He needs to focus, he still have a mission, and if he has to kill the Emperor to save everyone, then that's... Did you really make up your mind? As Midoriya turns around, and he looks to see the first one for all user looking at him, and he continues speaking. Did you really make peace with yourself? Are you seriously ready to do this? As Midoriya looks at him, but he then looks down and into the side, saying, It's not about what if I'm ready or not, it's about the fact that I have to do it. I have to, as the first one for all user speaking up, saying, Is this really the only way? Since when were you always going for the easy victory? As Midoriya looks at him and he said, What do you mean? As the one for all user continues speaking, saying, Since when were you ever just gonna go with the first option? You always try to find a different way out. You always try to go for something different and save everyone, even when the hardest decisions are not the easiest, even when the simplest solutions are the most obvious. You rejected them and went ahead with your own flow. Right? So, why are you now gonna go with the first option? As Midoriya just looks down, saying, It's just, I don't have time to try and find a different solution. The longer I take, the more people's lives are in danger. He already killed thousands with each laser blast. If he shoots another one and it's because of me, then... As this first one for all user gets closer to Midoriya, and he puts his hand on his shoulder, saying, You're strong. You're a very strong kid. But you're still a kid, Izuku Midoriya. Don't ever forget that. This world have taken a lot from you. Don't let it ever take your heart. Because that heart that beats in your chest is the heart of a true hero. No matter how many times you tell yourself that you're not, and no matter how many times this world will push you down, remember, you are still here. As he puts his hand on Midoriya's chest, and then Midoriya snaps back into reality. While on the other side, Bulat and Wave are fighting against the giant robot, and he's powering up another laser blast, the strongest laser blast. This is gonna be a nuke. He's destroying the entire kingdom. And as the Emperor just cheering him on and saying, Yes, yes, your majesty, this is what your father and mother have wanted you to do. And he's getting ready to blast, but then as he looks down, he sees something that he cannot believe. He sees his mother. The Emperor sees his mother. As he whispers under his breath, Mom? As he looks to see his mother smiling at him and opening her arms to him, and suddenly tears start running down his face as he stops with the laser, and Minister Honest is yelling at him, asking, What are you doing, your highness? Do it! Destroy Night Raid! Those foolish assassins have destroyed your kingdom. Are you just gonna let them go free like that? But to the Emperor, the sound of the minister is vague. It's distant. He can't hear anything. And slowly the robot goes on one knee, and eventually the Emperor leaves the mech. As he starts running, his crown drops from his head and his staff just drops from his hand. Even his cape gets caught on some rubble and he just takes it off. It doesn't matter. Just want to reach his mom, and finally once he reaches her, his eyes just go crying. He just cries and just talking to his mother, missing her so much. While on the other side with Bulat and Wave, they go to check on the Emperor to see what's going on. They see the Emperor hugging Midoriya, and they wonder what happened. Waves wonder what happened, but Bulat explains to him that that's Midoriya's Imperial Arm, Spectator. That's its trump card, Illusion Sight. It makes you see visions of the person you love most. And while the Emperor is hugging Midoriya, Midoriya speaks up saying, So, you saw your mother too? As the Emperor suddenly eyes widen in shock, and he looks up to see that the person he's hugging is no longer his mother. It's Izuku Midoriya, the traitor that betrayed his empire. As he said, You tricked me, you disgusting nitrate rebel. As immediately he starts trying to kick Midoriya away, attacking him while hitting him with his tiny little noodle hands, while Midoriya is still holding into him, saying, Please calm down, your highness, as the kid just continue fighting, saying, No, let go of me, the empire is destroyed because of the likes of you, it's always because of you, it's always, as suddenly Midoriya just slap him on his face, and the Emperor stops, before Midoriya grabs into his shoulders, and he looks down. Midoriya's hands are shaking as he said, Stop, just stop, don't make this harder than it has to be. You're a horrible Emperor. You're a monster. As the Emperor looks at Midoriya, but he can't see his eyes. He just sees his head looking down, while Midoriya is not letting go of the Emperor's shoulder. He continues speaking, saying, You've caused this empire so much pain, so much suffering. So many innocents died on your hand. So many people have faced their demise and lost their families because of you. Because you allowed this to continue. And yet, and yet, as Midoriya looks at the Emperor, and while the Emperor expected a look of anger and hatred, when he looks into Midoriya's face that is tearing up, he can see but only a face of sadness and sorrow and pity, as Midoriya looks at him saying, "Yet somehow I can't seem to hate you. You're still a kid. After that, after everything that you've done, I just can't bring myself to hate you. Because I understand it. I understand how you feel. Your father and mother died. They were killed. They weren't dead by an accident. It was all the plot of the minister. I looked into his mind. I knew what he did. Whether you believe me or not, it's the truth. He poisoned your father and killed your mother via an assassin. And you were just left alone. Alone with this entire empire on your shoulder. It must have been so overwhelming. The responsibility, the weight of it all shouldn't be ever laid on the shoulders of a kid your age. All of a sudden your childhood was stripped from you, and all what you wanted to do is just run away. Hide away from everyone. You wanted things to just stop. You wanted somebody to tell you what to do, and the Emperor showed his fangs. He offered you to stop thinking, offered you to let him do the talking, and you just wanted to leave and run away, so you just kept listening. You just kept listening, and he used you. Please stop this. You're just a kid. I know that you're angry. I know that you're scared. You don't have to do this anymore. Just stop. Stop. You just wanted to cry. Isn't that right? But no one ever offered you a shoulder. Well, here I am here. I'm here to offer you a shoulder to cry on. As the Emperor just looks at Midoriya, and suddenly, he just breaks into tears. He starts crying and yelling like the child he is, a child that was forced into a place of responsibility and the place of an emperor, a responsibility that should never be placed on the shoulders of a kid his age. And now, here he is acting as his age. And while Bulat and Wave are watching Midoriya's hugging the Emperor and they gets closer, at least the robot has finally stopped. On the other side, with Minister Honest that is running away, since the Emperor has been defeated, he needs to get out of here as quickly as possible, but as he's running down a hallway, somebody comes in and watches him, catches up to him. Everybody knows about this secret tunnel. Midoriya have mapped it out, thankfully, and Leona is right now standing in front of the Minister Honest as she said, "Now where do you think yourself going, fatty?" As the Minister Honest getting ready to use his own Imperial arm to point it at Leona and destroy hers, but in that moment she immediately chopped off his wrist with his hand and his rings fall as she just steps on the hand and destroys the ring, and the Minister Honest goes on the ground holding into his, well, where the place his hand used to be, as Leona looks down at him saying, "You think I'd fall for that? Sorry, but Midoriya have already informed me about your little Imperial arm. Told me about it. An Imperial arm that allows you to destroy another Imperial arm? Quite a dangerous trick, if you manage to pull it, that is." As she immediately kicked him in his stomach and she said, "Don't worry, you're not gonna die. Not yet, at least. There are a lot of people that want a piece of you. Now, let's take you somewhere safe, shall we?" As the minister is just terrified of what she's gonna do to him, but on the other side with Midoriya, Bulat and Wave, they're all standing together, and of course, even Akame comes in. But as everything just calms down and the battle seems to subside. Suddenly, they hear a sound from behind saying, "So the Empire have been defeated, huh?" As all four of them, with the Emperor in Midoriya's arms, look to see, well, of course, Esdeath. And Midoriya looks at her saying, "Esdeath, you're still," as she said, "Izuku. You managed to win, huh? I expected nothing less from you." As Bulat and Wave looking at her and Akame is getting ready to fight, but then the Emperor said, "General Esdeath, no, stop, don't attack them. this is over. We done something else. She said, shut up, you little crybaby. I don't take orders from a defeated emperor. As immediately Midoriya just said, Bulat, wave, take the emperor away. As Bulat said, but what about you two? As Midoriya said, me and Akame will handle this. As Bulat watches Midoriya trying to stand up, but suddenly Midoriya falls on his knees. It seemed that the damage that the emperor did to him is a lot. As the emperor goes to grab into Midoriya's shoulder, saying, no, did I hurt you? As Midoriya said, no, it's okay, I'm fine. As Midoriya just smiles at him, saying, just go with Bulat and wave. Me and Akame will handle this. And very quickly, Bulat takes the emperor away with wave. After wishing Midoriya good luck, Midoriya just told them to go and help the others. The battle is still not over, as Death's army and soldiers are still around. As Akame looks into Death and said, why are you doing this, Death? The battle is already over, the Empire is defeated. You don't have to fight anymore. The war is over. As Death said, yeah, so what? It doesn't matter to me. There is always gonna be another war. And even if there is not gonna be another war, I will simply create my own. As Midoriya said, you're so deranged. As Death said, Izuku, don't worry. Once this battle is over, I'll either kill you by my own hand or take you with me. Regardless of what's gonna happen next, I will not lose. As, well, immediately Akame just proceeded to go fighting against Death, and Midoriya watches their fight as it commences. It's bloody, it's quick, and he barely can keep up, but on the ground he barely can move either. And, of course, some of the One For All users are talking to him. First of all, being Nana, saying, are you okay? Is your body... what's wrong with you? As Midoriya said, I just can't seem to move. As Banjo shows up saying, well, this is dangerous. What should we do? We can't just stand around and watch her fight, right? And Midoriya said, yes, but what am I... Wait, I guess I have an idea. As Banjo said, huh? What kind of idea, kid? As, well, Akame and Death are taking a bit of a breather. Akame proceeded to slash her hand with her own sword, and then she falls on the ground yelling in pain as she activates her trump card. There are red markings appearing on her body, and as Death is impressed, suddenly she feels that more deadly. A human have finally shedded that human skin and revealed the monster beneath, while on the other side they hear a noise speaking up saying, one for all, 80%. Full carnage, as they turn around to see Midoriya, covered in black whip from head to toe, puppeteering his already injured body like the monster he is, with that deadly stare in his eyes. It's painful, it's messed up, and it's not beautiful at all, and yet his iron will and determination for victory is ever so apparent. And as Death looking at Midoriya in this monstrous form, she can't help but feel touched, feel very excited to see him refusing to back down from a battle even as he's so hurt. And so the battle commences between all three of them. And as Death, she goes even harder on both of them. The battle commences and Midoriya is not giving them a breather. She knows that Midoriya is dangerous and she realizes Imperial Arm is dangerous as well, so she goes for it first, immediately freezing his Imperial Arm after trying to freeze him whole, but he managed to block it with a Black Whip shield. But she managed to get his Spectator, and Midoriya looking at her as she just crushes it, saying, guess it's time for you to stop counting on your little Imperial Arm. I want to see my love's true strength and on full display. As Midoriya just getting angry. Now without Spectator, he can't see her next moves, but even though, for some reason, Danger Sense is not working on her. And so the fourth user speaks up, revealing to him that Danger Sense only works when somebody has, ill intentions. And I guess Death is fighting him out of love. That's why his Danger Sense cannot sense any sort of hostility towards him, which is really annoying. How is he supposed to expect her moves now? Guess it's gone back to good old style of trying to read your opponent. And so they proceed. The battle commences. Midoriya uses every trick in the book. He uses Fajin, he uses Black Whip, and He uses even smokescreen to try and hide all of them, as him and of course Akame are surrounded by some of that ice. Esdeath throws a giant meteorite on both of them, and immediately Midoriya just watches Akame, but then he jumps up in the air and punches the giant meteor into smithereens, exploding it and causing a giant air pressure to shoot all of them into the side. And Midoriya, watching Esdeath, goes back. He talks to Akame saying, "Akame, I have a plan. I think I figured out her Imperial Arm now." As she said, "Really? You figured out her trump card?" And Midoriya said, "Yes, it's..." As immediately Esdeath attacks them again with a wave of ice, and Midoriya immediately jumps up in the air while grabbing Akame using his black whip before spinning around and throwing her at Esdeath. Esdeath immediately creates a wall, and Akame just cuts it open. And in that minute, immediately Midoriya, from up in the sky, he gets ready to rain down with all of his power. He spreads a lot of black whip out of his body, using them as spears and spikes. He goes attacking Esdeath from each and every single direction, while Akame attacking from the front. And then Esdeath speaks a word, and suddenly the world around of her is frozen solid. As she just puts her hat back in its place and looks at Akame. She did take her arm off, but hey, that's nothing really. Just a sacrifice that needs to be done. As she looks at Midoriya up in the air and looks at Akame saying, "Well, you two are very good at fighting, but unfortunately for both of you, this battle is already over." As immediately she gets closer into Akame to kill her first, and then she stabs her, but for some reason there's nothing there. What? It's just an illusion? But where's the real Akame? What's going on? As immediately she tried to get out of Midoriya's range of attack, and she did, but as she does and the time finally resumes, Midoriya attacks the place where Esdeath used to be, and he hits it. But immediately the spikes go underground and appear around of Esdeath as they attack from the ground up, and immediately Akame appears up from the air and attacks her, saying, "You're done," as she slashes her. And now, immediately after the slash lands, Midoriya's black whip stabs into each and every inch of Esdeath, her legs, her arms, and her stomach, as Esdeath is standing there, impaled. And immediately Midoriya just causes the black whip to disappear, and Esdeath is just standing there. Her white dress suddenly goes red from all of the blood, and Murasame's curse is building up in her body. As she looks at Akame, she said, "So that was your plan, both of you? You used my own bloodlust against me, made me see things that weren't real." And Midoriya wasn't even aiming to attack me there. He was... It was just a distraction. As Akame said, "If it wasn't for Midoriya's information about your secret trump card, I don't think I would have won that battle." As immediately Esdeath said, "Yeah, Izuku," as she looks at Izuku standing behind Akame. But immediately, as Midoriya sees Esdeath on the verge of death, he immediately falls on the ground as well. His black whip just disappears in his body. He's bloodied. He was keeping his bones together. Using 80% of One For All has absolutely destroyed him. And Akame just looks at Midoriya. She tries to get closer to him, but then an ice wall appears in front of her, separating her from Midoriya and Esdeath, and she starts knocking on the ice wall saying, "No, Esdeath, don't you dare kill him!" As Esdeath gets closer, she lays on top of Midoriya. While Midoriya's vision is blurry, he stares into the sky. The One For All user's noise seems distant, and he wonders if he's gonna die. But then, as if something appears in front of his face, it's Esdeath. She lays on top of him as she grabs into his face, playing with his hair a little as she said, "My sweet little Izuku, I wish we could have stayed together. I remember how lovely our time together was. I always dreamed of both of us living somewhere far away. I was even thinking of maybe holding this whole war thing off for a while, so both of us can maybe make a family. A little boy Or maybe a little girl. I wanted to name one after you. Maybe something like Izumi? That would have been so lovely. I would love to be a mother. As she just standing on top of him, watching as Midoriya's body is bleeding, all purple and damaged, and from all of the ice she shot him, he's on his door to die. And so, she isn't gonna allow it. She looks into his face saying, I won't allow you to die. Not like this. You're gonna live the rest of your life thinking about me. As her blood is dripping on top of Midoriya, and even dropping from her mouth, she goes to kiss him with that bloody kiss. A kiss that Midoriya will never forget. And then she froze herself and Midoriya. And then she explodes into little tiny ice particles, leaving only Izuku there, frozen solid in ice, to keep him safe and to stop his bleeding. And so after Akame sees that, they take the frozen Midoriya away. And after that, after 3 days, Midoriya wakes up. He wakes up in a hospital full of other injured people, but he's alone at the moment, before somebody by his side speaks up, being Akame, telling him that he's alright, everything is alright, as the doctor comes into the room and talks to Midoriya, telling him that he was very damaged in the final battle, and thankfully his bleeding was stopped. If it wasn't for Esdeath, he would have actually died. As Midoriya stands up from the bed, he's still a bit wrapped up and his arm is broken, but he's okay. He can walk at least. And so he walks, and outside the rest of Nitrate sees him and they all talk to him. Midoriya immediately wonders what happened to the Emperor, and, well, after a few hours, Midoriya sees it. Midoriya sees as the Emperor is being ready for execution. Najinda wanted Midoriya to be there to see it since he's the one that stopped it, so she delayed his execution as much as she can. And now as Midoriya is standing, he sees the Emperor walk into the stage with the guillotine. He talks to Najinda, telling her, but he's just a kid. You can't... Minister Honest is the one that did all of this and corrupted the system. It wasn't his fault. As Najinda just stopped Midoriya, telling him that even if he was just Minister Honest's little pawn, in the end he was the Emperor, and as an Emperor, he has a responsibility to stand up for. The people need to take their anger out on somebody, Izuku. As Midoriya said, but it's just, he's a kid, you can't. And so Midoriya is stopped by the sound of somebody saying, please, that's enough. Thank you, Izuku Midoriya. As Midoriya looks at the Emperor, he doesn't look back at him, he just keeps talking, saying, as an Emperor, Najinda is right. It was my responsibility to protect this empire, and yet I failed horribly at it. The people deserve to punish me for what I did to them. But at the very least, I'm happy. I'm happy that you stopped me. So thank you for being the hero that my empire needed. As Midoriya just watches him as he stands on the guillotine, Midoriya is shocked, but he watches him as he slowly lays his head down, and eventually he gets ready. The executioner prepares to drop the guillotine on his head, and this time, Midoriya's facial expressions became unreadable. He doesn't turn his head around. He watches. He locks his eyes with the Emperor. And as the Emperor looks at all of the faces of the people in the crowd, all of them angry, infuriated, hating, demanding that he already dies, he looks amongst them and he sees one that is smiling, one that is peaceful, one that is happy. As he stares into Midoriya's face, there is not an ounce of hatred in his eyes, not an ounce of regret. And as the Emperor watches Midoriya looking at him, some tears start appearing around his eyes, but before he realizes it, his head was already off of his shoulder, and he dies. He didn't even feel the blade goes down on his neck. Well, the Emperor's peaceful demise on the other side with Minister Honest, his demise was certainly not peaceful. Right now he's just strapped into a wooden board in the middle of the street, trapped with a lot of, well, belts keeping him in his place, not moving an inch, as there is a long, long line of each and every single revolutionary member standing in line, taking turns and taking pieces out of this guy's body. One after the other, they just take a piece and put all of their pain on him. They are not letting him die quickly. As then, the next person in line was Midoriya. As Minister Honest looks up to see Izuku. Looking at him, Midoriya's right arm is still injured, but he's still well enough to walk. As the minister sees Midoriya's smiling face, that smile so peaceful, so innocent, yet it hides such immense hatred. And he sees that, hey, Midoriya brought him a gift, a bouquet of flowers. As Midoriya said, "How are you, Minister? I hope you're doing well." As the minister unfortunately cannot answer, he can only make noises because his tongue was taken by one of the Revolutionary Army soldiers. And then Midoriya looks at him saying, "I'll take your silence as a yes. You know, from all of the people I've faced in this empire and all of the many things I regret, I have no remorse towards you." As he said that with the biggest smile on his face before Midoriya just gives the bouquet to the guy standing behind of him waiting in line, as he pulls a flower out of it, and he walks closer to the minister saying, "As death maybe was a monster, but she taught me a lot of things. Some things I wish she never taught me, but they are part of me now. And hey, how about I put some of those teaching to the test?" As the minister looking into Midoriya's hand, this bouquet, and the flower he's holding that he sniffs the fragrance of, Midoriya said, "She called these flowers the Blue Devils. Though they're beautiful and their smell is absolutely gorgeous, their pellets hold a different story. When rubbed on an open wound, it causes excruciating pain." So I wonder, as Midoriya just grabs the flower and just immediately stabs the head of it into an open wound on the minister's body, and what follows is a horrific sound of absolute agony. It's a sound that even terrified the people standing. Like, God, this is too much. As Midoriya then pulls the flower out, covered in blood, all of her pellets, as Midoriya just throws the flower aside saying, God and devils may forgive you, but I sure as hell will not. I hope you will die a very slow and painful death, because sooner than later, you will gonna meet with Satan, and once he sees you, he'll be so happy to see you finally back home." As Midoriya just steps out of line and leaves the bouquet with the guy behind of him, telling him to give each and every single person waiting in line a flower of these, and if they ran out of them, there is always the garden in the Empire Castle still somewhere. Thankfully it wasn't destroyed, so they can use it. Just make sure to use them sparingly. And so, Midoriya walks away while still listening to the sound of the minister screaming behind of him. Such music to the ear. And with that being said, after a few months, 6 months to be exact, Midoriya have met with a lot more people. He met with bulls that, well, returned to his family, thankfully. No one really recognized his face, so he's now happily working with the rest of the soldiers and all the rest of the people of the Empire to try and rebuild. He started working as a teacher in a school that Run have built up after the destruction of the Empire. They start using pieces of the giant destroyed robot as, well, basically building material. And Midoriya is helping as well in this construction. All of Nitrate is helping. Leone, Bulat, Lavak, and everyone is doing their part, and Midoriya doing the most. He's the one that is able to carry the most weight, lift up the most biggest of pieces, and even crumble down the giant robot. With that all being said, eventually as a final victory memorial for the Nitrate member, they created them statues in the middle of the ground where the final battle took place, as Najinda stands as the new leader of the Empire and their new system to be more political. and for the people to decide on who shall lead them in the future. With that all being said and all of this time going by, Midoriya have healed and continued to training with One For All until he's finally fully realized his power have reached its full potential, and from now, as the Empire is still building, thanks to him, the building has gone very swiftly and very quickly. In a matter of months, this place looks like it's much better than before. And right now, him and all of the Nitrate members are standing together in front of the Empire on a top hill, because this is goodbye. Midoriya have taken so much time trying to help all of them, and all of them are here to celebrate him and say goodbye, a final goodbye. Even Bulls and Wave are there as well, Najinda and everyone else, and well, some of them are very sad. Leona is really off by it. She doesn't want him to leave. After all, he was supposed to be hers. Well, of course, Akame just gets closer into Midoriya and shakes his hand, saying, "It was an honor fighting by your side, Izuka Midoriya." As Midoriya said, "Yeah, it was an honor too." As Najinda just immediately shakes Midoriya's hand and everybody just giving him a big hug before, well, Lavak prepares, saying, "Okay, are we ready for this?" As Midoriya said, "Yeah, I am." As Midoriya getting ready, he takes a deep breath as Lavak gets ready to teleport Midoriya away, but then Leone speaks up, saying, "Oh, wait." As well, she gets closer to Midoriya and Midoriya said, "Oh, something, Leone?" As well, Leone just said, "Just make sure to remember us, okay?" As then she proceeded to give him a kiss, which got a little on Lavak's side and said, "Okay, enough of this romantic stuff. Let's just get you out of here before you, I don't know, get the rest of the ladies want to confess their loves or something." As Midoriya just blushing a little before waving at them goodbye, and finally a light shines and Midoriya disappears. He floats through space. For a minute there he can't believe it, and then he opens his eyes. He finds himself in Hosu, and so he steps into the streets. He sees all of the people around walking, and then he immediately goes happy. He started floating and going immediately to UA, and well, after that he just went ahead, met with the rest of his friends. He saw All Might and he returned. He hugged his mother. He talked to them and everything is perfect. And well, this is the end, guys. This is the end of the series. I hope that you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. In the end, not a lot have happened. Midoriya have thankfully returned to his world, though the pain and suffering of what happened in the old one still remained with him. He could never forget that world and none of Nitrate's members. They were his friends, and they will always live with him, no matter how far they are from him. In the end, when he grew up, he became a great hero, the #1 hero in the world, with a power greater than even All Might. Everyone knows him by name, and they call him the One For All hero. To honor his friends, he named himself Nitrate. And with that, well, tell me down in the comments what you think about this series and what are your thoughts and opinions, and hey, maybe suggest me other ideas. Perhaps you'd like to see Midoriya isekai to other worlds? Just make it make sense. Alright? Well, I have nothing more to say then. Severed was here.